Morning, first day of the conference, and like it's single day conference, but let's start. Let me start with 9 points I want to share with you, and let's do it as a mental exercise. Please try to relate these points, map these points to your day-to-day work, day-to-day job as a developer, and think like, are these good ones or perfect ones, I'd say. Just imagine that you have perfect balance between skills you have and challenges you have. Imagine that you are fully concentrated. You have absolutely clear goals, you know what to do. You receive immediate feedback after next line of code or code block or commit or something. You feel that time is transforming. Maybe like when it's needed, it shortens, for example, during boring time, during build, or extending when you need some extra time to think about the task. You are feeling really rewarded for what are you doing, and it's not about dollars and euros, but like feeling of accomplishment. And you do everything with ease, just no efforts. Sometimes you can feel that you are losing your consciousness. You are so well dedicated to this task, and yeah, after all, you feel that you have total control over everything. So I'm speaking for myself. When I experience these 9 points, when I do something in my code editor, yeah, I feel super productive and I feel super happy. And you know, folks, these 9 dimensions were formulated by psychologists Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi more than 30 years ago. It's like in the early 90s, and you see how perfectly it all mapped. It's matching with developer experience, and this concept called flow. So when you are in the flow, you are like on peak of your productivity and also on peak of your happiness. So you are both productive and happy. And mapping again to our developer day-to-day job, day-to-day life, might sound a bit counterintuitive, but this full concentration, this setting goal and working on the goal is not about being isolated. It's vice versa. I mean, if you talk about development, especially development for enterprise, and I mean, especially where we are not like one-person team, but we build on work of others, we rely on our colleagues, and what we do will affect how productive and happy our teammates, our colleagues will be. Of course, it's all about collaboration, right? So, and collaboration is one of the hallmarks of the flow for the developers. And my colleagues from GitHub, you know, like Microsoft and GitHub are like friendly companies, right? Performed lots of different surveys and research, and it's pretty obvious, right? That when we are collaborating, we can create more creative solutions, right? We code faster, we code better. Thanks to lots of help from our colleagues and tools and AI, we even like these formal things like test coverage and time of build also improving. And a bit like further from AI, but super relevant to today's topic. This is how, again, my colleagues from GitHub formulate what is developer experience, right? So answering the question of our today's amazing host, what is developer experience? This is answer from GitHub. Maybe you agree with this, maybe you want to add something else, maybe you want to fine-tune this formula, but developer productivity, like how fast we move from idea to production, impact, how frictionless is this way. developer satisfaction, or in simpler word, happiness, right? So we want to get satisfaction from what we do, and it's all like multiplied by a C, right? What is the C in that formula? It's collaboration. So collaboration, again, I want to emphasize, want to speak more and more and more, is super important for dev experience. At the same time, it doesn't mean, by collaboration, I don't mean your calendar full of meetings instead of coding. I don't mean that someone is staying behind your shoulder and asking how to do this, how to do that. It's not collaboration. You collaborate as a developer by, first of all, creating good and self-explanatory code, by writing comments, by describing your commits very well, pull requests very well, by creating and reading issues created by your teammates. So collaboration is a significant part of the developer work today. Now, back to AI. So how AI tooling can help with collaboration in particular, and the dev experience in more general. First of all, AI tools for developers is absolutely not a new concept. It's with us from 50s of the last century. If I remember correctly, IBM created a kind of tool called AutoCode or AutoGen, something like this. Of course, it was endlessly far from what we have today, but again, idea of using AI for automating developer tasks is with us for decades. So there are tons of different ways, tons of different tools, services that leverage AI to help developers. But of course, in my session, we'll focus on concrete category of this one, like AI pair programmers. How can they help you to collaborate? How can they help to boost developer experience? Well, first of all, AI pair programmer, as name says, is some entity you collaborate with, right? So you already collaborate with a pair programmer that suggests very nice code, next code line or code block, or can review your code, or can fix and optimize your code. So this collaboration with AI itself is a significant part of the story. But what this slide says about, it's the fact that this AI pair programmer can take lots of, say, boring and tedious tasks on itself. So actually you have more time for what matters the most in dev experience, both in terms of productivity and happiness. Like, yeah, we better collaborate rather than try to understand what's going on in this code created by our colleague or ourselves just a few months ago. Again, speaking for myself. We better have a proper brainstorm session rather than trying to understand what's wrong in this code line, if someone forgot comma or something like this. And yeah, you see lots of examples where we can free time for proper collaboration. I'm not here to overload with you with the numbers, and I mentioned that my colleagues from GitHub conducted lots of different surveys, researches, and like every single statement, every single number you hear from me today and you see on the slide is supported by respective research. And I already shared this deck, slightly extended on joined this portal that was announced by MC, so you can always download it, check all the links, and yeah, be very convincing in your conversations with your manager, with your company about, yeah, we need proper dev experience. Yeah, but just three numbers, and again, they all clearly say that having Copilot, or yeah, we can name this tool, right, GitHub Copilot, right, to be 100% precise. Developers, us ourselves, spend less time on tedious, repetitive tasks like writing boilerplate code or, again, writing tests. I'm personally not a huge fan of writing tests at all. We spend more time on what brings happiness to our developer life. And back to my conversation about my narrative about the flow, it brings us back to the flow, right? It helps us to get into the flow. It helps us to stay in the flow, right? Because you will see that experience is seamless. And also, by the way, I had slide, but remove this just conscious of time. Another research conducted by some university in USA shows that it takes on average 23 minutes for human to return to task they performed after they were interrupted. So just imagine how easy to get out of the flow and how time consuming is go back. So we can say about Copilot effect, and it's like snowball, right? So you are happier as a developer, as a result you are more productive as a developer, and yeah, after all, most of us develop not for fun, right? Or not only for fun, and we work for the companies, and these companies must make money, right? And yeah, it directly affects how fast we build our software, how quality this software is. Again, in this link you'll find all convincing information for your company, your manager, whatever takes decision, how important developer experience is. Yeah, this was, let's say, motivational part of my story. Now, super briefly about particular tool, right? GitHub Copilot, and we'll focus on like specific part of this tool. What's available? First of all, quick question: are there folks in the room who tried GitHub Copilot? Just raise your hand. Wow, like almost 100%, right? So this is why I will super briefly scroll through the feature slide. Again, maybe you didn't leverage all the features, and I hope that in my demo I will show you something that you never tried, right? But I'm not asking how many people are happy, right, with GitHub Copilot. Again, I have assumption that vast majority. If you are unhappy, just wait a bit, and I'll introduce some techniques, some tools, some new features that might bring more happiness, more satisfaction in your Copilot usage. And of course, I'm here to stay, and great pleasure to chat with you about all the details. So, code completion. This is how that started, right? So you write your code, you are in the flow, you get nice suggestion about next code line without anything, right, from your side. You just get nice suggestion. If you write more like concrete comment in your code, you get more specific, better suited piece of the code, right? This is how it started. It's in production for, I believe, almost 2 years. Chat. This is something that appeared relatively recently, right? And recently became generally available. Now this is inevitable part of GitHub Copilot, available as Copilot subscription without any extra payment. I mean, available for everyone who use GitHub Copilot. And by the way, GitHub Copilot is free for students and maintainers of important open source projects. So you can submit for your free tier. Also, command line interface. I'm personally not a big fan to remember all different commands, different keys of the commands, different parameters. Yeah, I'm a human, right? I want to stay in the flow. I don't want to overload my mind with some information that I need occasionally, not that often. And here I can get help from Copilot again. Part of relatively made generally available GitHub Copilot Enterprise tier. Pull request description. So just imagine you get bunch of commits as a part of pull request, and lots of files changed, right? And again, it might be boring to describe all the changes, right? And not just, formally describe, but describe in natural language. Describe that your colleagues will understand, will laugh after all what you wrote, how you treat them, right, by description of pull request. Now it's available as part of GitHub Copilot Enterprise, same as chat with your own documentation. In our age of generative AI, it's absolutely clear that keyword-based search in every field, not only in dev tooling, everywhere, is the past, right? So it's not enough for our current demands, and in our super high pace development age, we need something that understands our intent and gives us answers in natural language. And last but not least, and super important component of Copilot Enterprise is possibility to fine-tune suggestions based on your concrete code base. Just imagine your company with tons of, let's call them legacy code, right? Tons of code developers wrote for years or decades, and of course, lots of let's say patterns, lots of best practices are there, and now you can fine-tune, and it's not generally available yet, but will be available soon. Yeah, you can just get way better suggestions. But let's go back to the chat. Yeah, when I was preparing to the session, I sat and started to think, why do I ever need to chat with my code or about my code? So why this experience with just auto suggestions is not enough, again, for proper developer experience? And I came up with quite a few points. First of all, we can get definitely better dev experience, right? When we can formulate our need more explicitly, right? I'm not big fan of writing large comments before next code block was generated for me, right? Because most likely I will remove these comments. It's just not the best flow. So in chat I can ask, I can be very concrete, very precise in what I want to get. Context is everything. Of course, there is no magic behind the GitHub Copilot. It's all driven by generative AI, by large language models. And if you ever tried how generative AI works, I bet you know how ChatGPT works, everything. I mean, you tried this, right? But under the hood, it's all about sending prompt to API endpoint, any kind of generative AI, including this AI system development, and getting something back. And it's super important what exactly we send, right? And we cannot send our full code base. It's just technically impossible. If we talk about general generative AI usage, it will cost too much, right? The more you send, the more you pay. It's super important how the tooling that is behind Copilot and all other AI-assisted programmers, what exactly is sent to API endpoint to get relevant answer. And of course, lots of experimentation are still around that, right? So you need to be very precise before ever reaching out generative AI endpoint. Then, it's not only about generating new code, and actually in my short demo I will not generate new code at all. I will refactor code, I will ask to explain the code, everything, and actually it takes much more time in regular day-to-day life of developer than writing new code. And of course, auto suggestions will not help you here. You need way to express what we want here. Other like non-coding tasks like using terminal or just exploring possibilities of IDE is also inevitable part of our dev life. And last but not least, we can extend knowledge of Copilot but by some other external sources via chat possibilities, via chat, let's say, functionality and syntax. Super briefly on how to start. First of all, GitHub Copilot Chat currently is a separate extension you have to install in VS Code or Visual Studio, and just a week ago it was announced availability of GitHub Copilot Chat for editors by JetBrains. It's super important milestone in AI-assisted development tools. And just super briefly about new or relatively new possibilities of GitHub Copilot Chat. First of all, there are no two developers in the world that have exactly similar developer workflow, right? We are all personalities. We love to fine-tune our IDE. We love to follow our own patterns, findings, and GitHub Copilot and Copilot Chat, they give you the possibility to customize its own experience specifically for you. Either you want full and the prominent chat window, or quick pop-up with this, or like a bit larger pop-up. All options are available. Again, I want you to keep this slide deck as a mini documentation on what GitHub Copilot Chat can do, because sometimes, yeah, I'll be open with you. Documentation is lagging behind the new features of GitHub Copilot, so use this deck as documentation, at least for today's status. Also, they introduced concept of agents, and this is all about providing context or helping to provide context. I highlighted the one called Workspace because this is the main the main agent you will use in your daily life, daily work as a developer. And it's, in simple words, this is about like currently open directory in your VS Code, or currently open workspace, you name it. So if suggestions you receive are not good enough, or just Copilot Chat says, I don't know anything about your project, just provide this agent. And also, I really recommend you to remember this keyboard shortcut, Control-Enter. This will add this prefix at workspace automatically. I mean, you don't need to type this every single time. Also, first of all, superpower of ChatGPT, all like chatbots driven by generative AI, everything is the fact that they understand our language, natural language, human language. And it's the case with GitHub Copilot Chat as well. You can communicate with them as with your pair programmer, as your colleague. But again, turned out after like some time of real life dev experience that it's still a good idea to provide some shortcuts to be a bit more formal, right? And it landed in form of what we call / comments. And you see set of the comments on the screen. Not to remember everything, you just type /help, or you type / and you will see the comments pop up. And last but not least, with this list of new features, is context variables. This is the way you can be even more specific in setting up the context. For example, if suggestion that Copilot or Copilot Chat provided you is again saying, I cannot help you because I don't have full information, you can just pinpoint, for example, to concrete file, or to editor, or more precise code that is open in viewpoint of the editor. The latest addition is context variable called codebase, and this is actually very similar to workspace agent. So it takes your all code base currently like available in the code editor, and this way you can combine, for example, agent like terminal, if this agent is not workspace, but still provide full code base as a context. Context is king. Before we switch to the demo, my last slide, few tips and tricks, very briefly. First of all, context. I think I dedicated enough time to explain importance of this context of this idea, concept, that's correct word. Then try and use GitHub Copilot and Copilot Chat for all kinds of pattern-based things. It's perfect for cron, for regular expressions, everything. Very important point, trust but verify. I mean, Copilot is not compiler. Sometimes the code it gives you is not ready for going into production in multiple senses, let's say. Even though all, let's say, low-hanging fruit security vulnerabilities, of course, filter it out for you before ever showing up as a code suggestion. So in that sense, you are safe. Rule of 3S. Don't try to multitask in one prompt to Copilot Chat. Be as specific as possible, and don't expect too long response, right? So, I mean, don't expect code in the form of multiple files. No, build your prompt the way that Copilot Chat outputs your either line of code or method, or maybe a couple of methods. And last but not least, iterate, experiment, and have fun. Now, let me check. Yeah, I have 10 minutes for the demo. And yeah, as my slide says, it's demo time. Seeing is believing. Okie doke, let me change my screen layout and setup. I want to duplicate screen, just not to look on top every time. Okay, looks good, and we can safely close this deck. Yeah, it's not duplicated again for some reason. Yeah, now we talk. I will use my personal simple GitHub repository, and this is GPT-based chat that allows you to chat with your own data. So it's super silly, super naive implementation of what's called retrieval augmented generation pattern, where we build our connection with generative AI endpoint. In this case, it's Azure OpenAI. Exposed as chat that can answer questions about some documents I uploaded in advance. And like in this case, it's a scenario of us being employee of the company, and we want to ask some questions about what's available in this or that insurance tier. But functionality is not that important in that case. Just for keep in mind for folks, if you want to find super simple example of how retrieval augmented generation works, check this repo out. Of course, it's all open source, and it's purely JavaScript, Next.js on front end, and Azure functions on the back end. Let's jump straight to the code editor, and this is VS Code. Yeah, I'm personally a JavaScript guy. JavaScript is my main development language, and all today's examples will be in that language, both for front end and back end. Yeah, so we have this repo open, and this is what I consider as a workspace in my understanding, right? So we have this folder open. And chat is here as, so I hope that font size is large enough for you. It's here. It says, hi, Webmax, are you? This is my handle on GitHub. How can I help you? And just imagine, I recently joined this team. I know nothing about this project, so I start asking, let me find my demo script, just to keep us efficient. What is in this project? What kind of backend? I know nothing. I just started in this team. And the answer is, well, pretty much expected for myself, right? As artificial intelligence, I don't have direct access to your files on project, and this is good, right? So I don't trust some, it's not random extension, but still extension, right? Some third-party product to immediately access all my files. I want to be a bit more explicit in giving permission like that. So what I do, I press arrow up, like in terminal, right? You can repeat previous commands, and this is also about great developer experience. It's all keyboard enabled. I mean, you don't need to always use touchpad or mouse. No, you are in the flow, remember. And if you remember shortcut I recently introduced you about workspace, instead of just hit enter, I hit Control Enter. And workspace agent added for me, and I just instead of typing, just nice syntax sugar, let's call it like that. Of course, it will take some extra time for Copilot Chat first to understand what kind of files, not full files maybe, but code snippets from these files to send to API endpoint to get some nice answer, some useful answer after all. After some time, yeah, I receive something that I can start work with, right? So this project uses Azure functions for the backend as indicated here, and also reference some files. Yeah, so this is good start for me. And also here we can check what was exactly used for giving me this answer, right? So if for some reason you see something unexpected, you can always check, like, is GitHub Copilot Chat really understood, really sent proper file references before generating that answer. Of course, if you talk about AI-assisted development, it's a combination of your experience in code editor and smartness and performance of solution on the provider side, right? So these 2 points are so well interconnected. So for me, sometimes it's hard to understand what exactly experience of Copilot Chat as local extension and what is experience of GitHub Copilot as a service. But normally in like a regular life of developer, you don't need to dive that deep. Okay, so let me open one of the files I have as a part of the backend. Yeah, you see that layout is not optimal here, right? I just increased font size. So normally I don't work like this. Of course, I prefer to see a bit more code in my editor window. But yeah, even now I see lots of things to optimize, starting from naming of the functions, right? So here it's very inconsistent. Some camel case, some underscore case, and everything. So what if I ask Copilot Chat come up with better method names? And by the way, it's completely fine to be not perfect in English grammar here. So typos are fine, non-perfect English is fine. So it's pretty much forgiven. Of course, the better you formulate, the better result you potentially get. But you can get some satisfactory answer even if you like type without too much care about that. Well, again. GitHub Copilot Chat says that without any specific code or method names provided, I'd like to be more explicit here, right? Because I have this concrete file and I want to get answer not on general, right? So GitHub Copilot is perfect in answering general coding questions. What if I want to ask about this concrete file? Again, I hit arrow up not to repeat typing, and here I will use context variables that I introduced on the slides, and let it be file in this case. Okay, yes, there are sometimes strange UX bugs that don't let you like put exact file. Okay, so like instead of accepting the suggestion, I just had to type this manually, and yeah, I pick this one that is open. Know your limitations, right? So some tooling is not perfect, and if time allows, I will show you how to actually break the parser. This is what I investigated myself. Yeah, so we get similar answer, but landed or grounded to this concrete file, right? This is what exactly what I expected. Also, I see some regular expression here, and even though it was me who wrote this, I don't know, a few months ago, I just don't want to keep it in memory, right? And when I'm in the flow, I don't want to go to Stack Overflow to check syntax of regular expressions or whatever, or use some external tool. No, let me show you another usage of Copilot Chat that is inline. So if we hit Control-I, so all shortcuts are mentioned in the slide deck. And one of the slash comments explain, and it all happens here again, and we clearly see the reference that, okay, yeah, it understood that I asked to explain selected code, not something else. And yeah, I have explanation of what's going on here in this regex in human language, right? So I don't need to interrupt my flow. I don't need to leave my code editor. And also here we can ask, can I? Let be. Can it match only second references? And this is where I use power of chat, right? It's chat. It's not just one-shot request. So it chat. It keeps all the context what I asked previously. So I hope that it understood. Yeah, it's understood previous context of our conversation, and it says yes, there is no such feature in regular expressions, but you can come up with few extra lines of the code that will make the desired functionality. Also, another hint, another tip for you folks is you can start as many chats as needed. And sometimes it's super convenient to like fully reset context, right? Because I already demonstrated you that it's chat, it remembers all your previous conversation. But if I want to ask about something completely different, even though it's the same file but different topic, it totally makes sense to start a new chat just to make sure that previous context is not in use. It's not intersecting. As a last part of the story, let me show you how I broke the extension. So what I wanted to take this quite ugly, to be honest, written function, and what? I'm sorry, lost my. Oh, we can do it like this. Let me, we can collapse this, select this, and let me demonstrate one more way to use GitHub Copilot in pop-up mode. So I will ask to fix this code, and fix means many things here. For example, it can mean refactor. And also, yeah, it tries to identify bugs here, but yeah, maybe it didn't fully understand what I meant here. Again, remember, it's iterate, experiment, and this is not what I wanted. Yeah. This is exactly what I want to demonstrate. So you noticed this blink, right? It started to output some optimized, some refactored code. It's either performance or security, doesn't matter in this context. It started to output code in a nice highlighted syntax, but suddenly stopped and suddenly screwed up everything in this bit random set of. I mean, it's the code, but just not formatted code. And this is clearly bug of Copilot Chat extension, and you probably know that VS Code, full VS Code is a web-driven editor. So basically what you see on the screen, created by JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. I assume that my ugly function is that ugly, so there are lots of mix of apostrophes, quotes, backticks, and everything. So in suggested proper code, mix of this one just broke something in let's say rendering engine of Copilot Chat. Again, know your limitations. Sometimes you can experience like that. Just know what to do with this. And yeah, I have 1 minute to go. What else to demonstrate? Okay, security is a big word, right? So maybe let me close this one and let me choose another method string template parser, and let me ask, is this code secure? Also, it understood which code I mean, right, just because it's selected. And also, if you wish to be 100% explicit, you can use selection context variable. Yeah, and it gives me answer. Relatively secure, right? So we prefer to tend that there is no absolute security in the development, and provided with some hints on how to make it even more secure. Yeah, this was short demo and my main call to action for you folks. Of course, go to Join-in, provide the feedback for this session, download my slides, and you'll find lots of tips and tricks there. But still, my main call to action is let's stay connected. Please take your mobile devices. This is QR code that leads directly to my LinkedIn profile. It's my great pleasure to accept all connection requests from today, from this amazing audience. And feel free to ask me about Copilot Chat, AI-assisted development, developer experience, developer productivity, developer happiness, everything. And folks, for today, stay in the flow of this amazing conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.